Hello and welcome to Heroic Inspiration, my YouTube show where I talk to cool people. That's the other one. No, this is the one where I talk to people about RPG stuff. We're going to talk about Talespire, and I have the incredibly multi-talented Diana with me again. Hello.
That's true. I have two talents.
That is more than one.
Interviewing is not one of them. So we'll see how this goes.
I respect it. How are you?
Doing good. We actually have a reasonable time for recording for you now.
Mhm.
So we're both like up and going. This is going to be great. We're talking about one of my favorite topics too, which is going to sound like I'm so sorry, audience. It's going to sound like an ad. I swear they haven't paid me. I just love what we're about to talk
I
about so
wish we were
much.
sponsored by Talespire.
Wish they I should reach out to them. I don't think they need it though. I think anyone who tries their stuff is really just going to be like they're going to get locked in the way I was and it'll be fine. They probably don't need the ad revenue.
Maybe not, but you should still reach out. It's always worth a shot,
I
right?
should. I
Always worth a
should.
shot. Yeah. Okay. Let's just dig straight into things. So, how did you end up using Talespire?
Oh gosh, I want to say I saw it over on Reddit a long time ago, back when I was on Reddit, the dark days. And I that was my resource for a lot of D&D stuff, especially on the DMing side.
Mhm.
And I saw people were creating crazy cool maps in 3 dimensions and using like something that wasn't for once, a tabletop software that was trying to look like a video game.
Yeah.
It was just trying to look like a tabletop, like, like miniatures.
Yeah.
And it was great. They weren't doing too much. And then I saw that people were like sharing their maps and their code for their maps just like in the same posts and other people were using it. And I was
Mm.
like, okay, how easy is this really? Because this looks like a work of art. Someone has recreated the entirety of Curse of Strahd and the
Mm.
entirety of Barovia in this system. And someone can just Control C, Control P into it.
Yeah.
So I downloaded it, and it's still in early access, so it was relatively cheap, especially compared to like a lot of bigger, I don't know, subscription based models and things
Yeah.
like that you have for tabletops. And then I got hooked instantly. I built so many maps, and then I decided quickly that I wasn't good at that, so then I copied so many maps, and now I'm here.
I think that's the pipeline is, oh, I can make stuff with this. And then you put the square in the wrong place 17 times in a row and you go, I need help.
Yeah, people can make stuff with this. How great is that?
It's wonderful. And they do. So the one that I end up using the most is Tales Tavern.
Yes, Tales Tavern is so good. And it's so simple. It's so nice. They don't like fluff it up with a bunch of unnecessary things. It's not chock full of ads, although I guess I have an ad blocker, so ignore that part. But still, it's a very simple, streamlined sort of. I'm not a big fan of their search system. I feel like that could be a little bit better,
It
but
could.
um there's a lot of content on there, and people have done a lot of work to put on, especially like published D&D modules, just make them fully available
Yeah.
and ready to go. It's so nice.
Yeah, because you mostly run modules, don't you? Rather than
I
homebrew
do.
stuff.
Yeah, I'm very not creative in every aspect, not just map building, but also story weaving. And so I just full on take modules and I kind of tweak them a little bit. So I'll go into each of the maps that I download for Talespire and kind of like add adjustments, add little secrets here and there that aren't in the base module, which is still really easy to do.
Mm.
And yeah, then that's it. I'm just here. I just use the modules.
Do you ever use, so along with building stuff, there's also community integration and Hero Forge integration, which is one of my favorite bits,
Mhm.
because it means that all of my group have all of their own little miniatures in as they want them, which is always fun. Do you use that stuff as well?
I have as a player, I haven't as a DM yet, because the way I use Talespire is generally pretty. I make it so that I don't want to have to charge my players anything to play my game. And so I usually just go into Talespire on my end and
Right.
I screen share over Discord. At least until they get that thing going where you can have like a guest pass or whatever. I don't know if they've done that yet.
They
It's been a
have
while
that.
since I've messed around with it. They
They do
have?
have that. Yes, you can buy seats.
That'd be great. Okay. In that case, I'm doing that from now on. But back in the day, I used to just share my screen, so I didn't have people like properly controlling their characters or anything like that on the DM side. But when I was a player, I absolutely did. I went crazy on Hero Forge creating. God, I was playing in Eladrin, and so I created like all 4 seasonal variants
Nice.
of my character and dropped all 4 of them in. My poor DM probably hated me for it because there was so much to manage, but that was great. And I feel like when it comes to the community integrations too and the community features,
Mm,
it really just goes to show how much the dev team cares about the product.
yeah.
Because I've seen, and we've all heard the story before of certain games just absolutely being viscerally opposed to the concept of mods
Yeah.
or, extra plugins that you can add to your game. And these guys are like, no, do it, please, go for it. So
By all
it's been
means.
great.
yeah, there's so much. The only thing that we're currently missing is a good music mod. The one of the big updates
Oh,
recently killed all the music mods we were using, which is sad.
oh,
It's a very
that's
minor
rough.
thing. Um, do you mostly play online then, rather than in person?
I do. I think I played maybe twice in person, and both times it's just not as fun when you have to drive like 30 minutes to go play D&D for a couple hours and then drive back home. It's not as nice as being in the comfort of your own, office. I almost said living room, but and I also play with a lot of people who are, friends across the world. So I obviously can't send them a plane ticket every 2 weeks to come join me. So we play over Discord quite a bit.
Yeah, that's fair. We use Teams because two of my group are in China, and it's the only one that works
Oh,
properly because of all the different restrictions and stuff in China. So that's fun.
interesting. I didn't know that. So they just don't have Discord?
They do, but because so they need specific VPNs to play Talespire, and you need to find so the only chat program that works while that VPN is on is Teams.
Wild. Oh man.
Yes, it used to be
I know
Skype,
they do.
and then they killed
Oh,
Skype,
good
so we had to
riddance.
swap.
Yeah. I don't know. I was never a fan of Skype. I got my start on Skype back in the day, back after IRC chats were a thing. I was like a Skype girly for the longest time, typing out to my internet friends, and then it was I don't know. I think that call sound still haunts me.
Boom,
It's
boom,
very just
boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom, boom,
exactly.
boom. Yeah,
That's the one.
yeah. I mean, same. Also, I'm gonna age myself slightly here. My first chat thing was MSN Messenger. You
Oh.
don't have to know what that is. That's okay. I'm very
I
old.
don't, but I the fact that I don't means it's pretty fucking old. It's old.
Thanks.
Oh goodness.
That was like 23 years ago. Gosh, I do
Whoa.
not enjoy aging. Don't do it. It's a trap.
Wait, do you remember the dial-up sound?
Yes.
Wow. Whoa. Okay. Cool.
I didn't have internet though. We couldn't afford internet. So I had other people who had internet, and then you go around, and it's that I cannot mimic it. I could not mimic the modem sound. I'm not going to try.
Yeah.
Um,
Goodness.
It's a wonderful sound. I think Ghostfire used it in the most recent episode of the Eldritch Lorecast, actually, because it was
I was
just
supposed to be on that episode. Oh no.
oh,
I would have been haunted.
Diana.
Oh goodness.
It was just Ben and Dale, which was great, to be fair. But yeah, Dale told a joke, and Ben, you could see on Ben's face that his brain just fully crashed trying
Oh
to
man.
wrap his head around it, which was wonderful. And then the modem sound was edited in. Good work, editors.
I love that. That's one of my favorite bits. It's like that or like the little spinning icon.
Yeah,
We're
the
getting so off
hovering.
topic. I'm
I
so
mean,
sorry.
wait, it's a very specific topic. We can get a little bit off topic. It's fine. It's fine.
Mhm.
Um, what do you like about? So you said that you like the fact that Talespire isn't trying to be a video game. Do you use it in every aspect of D&D? So like travel and roleplay and combat as well.
I do. So I go out of my way to make sure that there's maps for everything. At the very least, just so my party is rooted in something. If they go into a shop, they can see the basic layout of the shop, and it doesn't have to be one for one. I'm not going to
Yeah,
put every single apple on every single shelf or anything. But I like to make sure that they have especially with the modules I run, combat could break out at any time, and I
yeah,
want to make sure that they know that. And so it's kind of it's a slight threat, but also it sets the tone. It roots them in the world. I will say there is a bit of a downside to that method of using Talespire for maps in every instance, though, where if you have particularly curious players, they're going to wander over to every single crate and every
yep,
single painting, and they'll
yep.
be like, "Oh, is this actually here? Is this actually here? Can I open this?" And I have to be like, "No, no. I mean, if go off, I guess, like sure, but there's nothing in it." And so I feel like I have to plan extra for what's in every single little bit of furnishing,
Yeah,
because they're gonna try and interact with it. But if you establish right out the bat that like if it's not in what I audibly tell you is in the description of the room, it's probably not actually there, and it's just dressing. So I try and set that tone, but
that's very fair.
people still forget. They get curious.
I don't set that tone, and one of my players picked up a fishing rod that was just randomly in one of the maps and hit a bat with it. I think is what ended up happening. So, is this
We love
fishing rod really
improvise,
here? I
but
was like, yes, sure.
add +1 fishing rod to your inventory, I guess.
Yeah, of smiting. I don't know,
Yeah.
which is fine. I find it's tricky to use with travel and specifically with traps and dungeon encounters.
Traps are hard. Yes, because people will just speed ahead.
Yes. Or
Yeah.
literally teleport, because you can teleport pieces because they sometimes get. Occasionally, when you try to pick up your piece, it will fall into the infinite void below the below the map. So that's always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
traps are tricky.
That's why I feel like it is kind of helpful sometimes to have that old method that I had where you can just ask people to tell you where they're going
Mm,
and move the pieces on your end so that way no one's speeding ahead. But it's I see it all the time with other BTTs too, where we'll be in oh my gosh, roll 20 or something like
hmm
that. And we're all just like sprinting around exploring the room trying to get rid of all the fog of war. And
Yeah.
then the DM's like, wait, no, hold on. Wait, one sec. Guys, chill out. And then like it's like wrangling cats.
Yes.
And so that's something I think is just a behavioral thing. It's a little bit hard to crack. You got to set an expectation that people should move one spot a step
It's
at a time.
most. This is a sweeping statement. Most D&D players and DMs are neurodivergent, and we all like to run around like idiots sometimes, and that translates
Yeah.
wonderfully to digital spaces. So it happens.
Yeah.
What like tips and tricks do you have for anybody that wants to pick up Talespire and hasn't used it before?
Ooh. Take a good second to see what's out there and make sure that you're going through, like you said, Tales Tavern or what's the other one? Is it Tales Bazaar?
Yeah, Tales
I know there's
Bazaar.
two like major ones. Yeah, take a look through and see if the maps that are already there, especially if you're not like the building type yourself and you're not the type of person who went off and made crazy cool structures in Minecraft,
Yeah.
then then you're going to be relying a lot on what's already out there. So maybe take a look through those community pages. It's just websites. It's super easy to look at and see if there's anything there that appeals to you or that could do a lot of the hard work for you.
Mm.
And if not, you might want to hold off a little bit. I would also recommend making sure that your computer will be okay running Talespire. Not everyone's
Yes.
is. It's a very chunky program. So just be aware of that. There's always Steam refunds if your computer catches on fire,
Yes.
so just keep that in mind. But no, beyond that, it's just a Steam thing. It's just basically a game, As far as if you're a gamer as is, then I highly recommend it. It doesn't force your players to do any crazy stuff like in Foundry.
Mm.
No one has to necessarily spend a huge amount of money. The community has done, or sorry, the developers have done an amazing job continually putting out patches too, which is
Yep.
amazing. You can tell they care a lot about their product. So yeah, just look into it briefly, see what's out there. But honestly, a solid Steam gift card, and you might unlock the best time of your life and the biggest time suck of your D&D career.
It is. Yeah, it does change how you prep for sessions. So I've got two campaigns. One is more like story led and focused. That one's much easier to prep for because I know what's going to happen most of the time. The other one is like an open world seafaring pirate thing. So I have 15 maps prepared just in case they decide to go and do any one of the multiple things that they've been given that they can do, which is time consuming.
But I love that you have it prepared as opposed to just being like, oh yeah, you run into the invisible wall at the edge of the map. Sorry, come back later.
You got to it's I think there's a degree of not railroading. How did one of my friends describe it? Like the bumpers that you put up for kids when they bowl.
Oh, yeah, for kids, and definitely not for
For
26
kids
year old girls who are just bad at bowling.
or my wife, who does the same.
Yeah, no shame.
I'm not shading anyone. I'm not good at bowling. I'm good enough to not need that, but like only sometimes. So yeah, you have to sort of you give them a wider railroad with multiple potential tracks, but you do have to be a little firmer with how you guide the players because you can always theatre of the mind. There's obviously always an
Yeah.
option, but it's nice to have a map and a proper combat encounter and stuff prepared. So
Yeah, especially when they're used to it, they're gonna know that something's up and that they shouldn't have gone this direction, and that's it's a bit immersion breaking.
yeah, you don't want your players to be like the DM's human. Uh, the antithesis of what we're going for. Did you know there's also proc gen stuff?
Proc gen stuff.
So
That's a new term
procedural
for me.
generation. Sorry.
In Talespire?
There's a GitHub app you can use online. I will share it in the description and I will send it to you before we finish chatting.
Oh, that would be a game changer.
It
Oh my
doesn't do
god,
it.
does it actually?
You can't
What?
do towns,
Okay, that's
but
fair.
you can do different biomes, different heights and depths. You can do different like types of material and stuff like that. It's really cool.
That is crazy. This is why I love modders, I love coders, I love communities so much. Especially like when it comes to the D&D community, everyone's so willing to just make it easier on other DMs
Yes,
and they're willing to share their stuff with it. That's why people's Obsidian vaults go so hard nowadays. Oh man.
it's like collective knowledge slowly raising everyone up, and then I'm just there on the
Yeah.
edge going, "Thank you," uh,
Yeah.
unable
I'll
to
take
do
that.
anything of use. Yeah, exactly. Oh,
I don't
cool,
know how
cool,
to code,
thanks.
but my God, can I make a skit every now and then that gets people into the game on content? And then that's my contribution to the world, is showing off an obnoxiously large DM screen and calling it good.
I mean, it works clearly, so it's an important part of the process. People realize that not every D&D player is what the cliche is. I think that's really important.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
um, what other? So you use Discord for chatting. I use Teams. Oh, there's also an extension called Beyond the Spire, I believe it's called, which lets you click your figures in D&D Beyond, and it automatically rolls the dice in Talespire as well.
Oh, that's cool. I feel like the community has gone out of their way to make all of the features that make things like, oh God, Roll20 or for Foundry and
Yeah,
things like that, like all of those automatic dice rollers and whatnot. They just kind of do it themselves, and the devs don't
yeah.
have to lift a finger, which is so nice. Um, yeah,
It's impressive. Yeah. It's wonderful. Do you make much use of the like in-game filters?
oh gosh, like the visual filters for things like
Yeah,
the fog and the water
yeah.
levels and like making things look like a sepia tone. I do in certain maps, and I feel like especially if you're walking into something along the lines of, Barovia, there's going to be a difference between the eerie darkness of a
Hmm.
cavern versus the kind of sickly green colors of the swamps versus the unusually saturated vibes of the witches
Yeah.
area that, or the hags area that I'm not going to spoil. So yes, a lot. I do also use, or I used to use Talespire's background music, which is in, I
Mm.
think, the same panel. Nowadays I use Fantasy Plus, so that's a little bit, also not sponsored, a little bit more controlled. But yeah, I took a lot of, the only native function I think I didn't touch actually was their cinematic mode. And I just couldn't
I haven't
figure it
used that
out.
either.
Yeah, I don't know if it's, I don't know if
I
it's
am.
just us.
We are the cinematic mode with the DM. Isn't that
Yeah,
the
exactly.
point?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I have 3 paragraphs of cinema. Like I don't need the
Exactly.
in-game zooms or whatever. But
Exactly.
yeah.
I think my favorite thing about Talespire, aside from the fact that it makes online play just better, in my opinion, is the
Yeah.
fact that it makes combat incredibly crunchy.
Oh, you like that?
I like the fact that you can measure, like, you can tell if something's like half a foot too far away. Brings me a great
Yeah.
deal of joy, and all my players like it as well because you always feel like you're, which is weird because we break the rules so often. But with that stuff, it's nice to be able to see what a 30-foot cube looks like and stuff like that.
Yeah, I love doing the little domes for Fireball and things like that. And it's like,
Yeah,
okay, are you sure you want to cache this in this closet? Like, this is the consequence of your actions. And this is how far that consequence stretches
yeah,
and how many of your friends it's going to hurt. Like, are you 100% certain? It looks so good. Their measurement tools are also really easy to use. And
yeah.
like, I don't know. I love it. I love the 3 dimensions of it. It's nice. It's cool. I like it.
It is nice. Is there anything you think they could add that would make it better?
Again, it's been a hot sec since I've been there and like gone into it. I feel like the last time I checked, their fog of war was not the easiest to use, where you had to go in and create hide volumes.
Yeah.
For those who aren't familiar, you essentially had to go in and create rectangles all over your map for each individual room that would, on the DM side, and look like little toggleable things where you can hide or show that rectangle's worth of space to your players. And it was so tedious to set up.
Mm,
And so I feel like they could maybe do something a little bit easier or maybe have it where you can like paint it in and then paint it out again as
yeah.
opposed to having to figure out which of those little icons toggles which room when they're all in 3 dimensions and layering over each other and looking weird. Um, so That could be a lot better. That was one thing I really didn't like about Talespire as it was.
Mm.
Um, Beyond that, yeah, I mean, now that they've implemented the thing to kind of lower the barrier for people who aren't on the DM side to just buy a seat at the table, which I absolutely have to check out. Now, I think it was fantastic. They're doing so much to add new assets in all the time. It's not just fantasy stuff anymore. It's
Yeah.
got like cyberpunk type assets. It's got sci-fi stuff. It's space materials, Christmas assets.
Yep.
For your seasonal one shots. It's so cool. I do wish they had recolors. Actually,
Recoloring would be so useful.
so great for the miniatures. Oh my gosh, I have instead of just coloring the base of the army of 17 goblins I have and then
Mm.
trying to remember which is which using the name, I would love to be able to just like give it a little tint, even if it's just a filter. That'd be great. Um, yeah, but that's pretty much it. It's really like a near perfect system, at least for my usage.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, it still glitches occasionally, but it is still in early access. Although it's been in early access for 4 years or something at this point.
Yeah, I
Really
wonder if
stretching
they're
the
ever
meaning.
gonna. Yeah, I know. Like, I wonder what their full release is actually gonna look like at this rate. Like what they're waiting on.
What is the yeah? What is the thing that means that it's done?
Yeah, I don't
No
know.
idea. We did only recently get cubes, to be fair, like the ability to measure cubes. So like,
That's fair. Yeah, that was a long time coming. I mean, I know a lot of their user base is, D&D specific. Maybe they're
mm,
just hoping to add more of the monster manuals, you know, as far as they can without
yeah,
breaching copyright monsters in there or something like that. I don't know.
maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're looking at trying to because you can also this is something you can do if you're really committed. Is you can actually put your stat sheets into Talespire.
Yeah. It takes work, but you can 100% do it.
It does
It's
take
cool.
work, and I'm lazy, as we have discussed. So,
I will ask you a question though,
mhm.
because I know that. Sorry, I know this is not how interviews are supposed to work, but I was wondering, how do you feel about the concept of Talespire versus Rest in Peace Sigil? Because Sigil was also trying to do a sort of three-dimensional platform, wasn't it?
It
And it
was
largely looked the same.
Sigil looked better.
Oh, really?
I think undoubtedly looked better. But it felt clunkier to use, and I don't know that it is or was clunkier to use because it probably wasn't. But because I'm used to Talespire
Yeah.
and all the clunk that Talespire presents, uh,
Talespire has a learning curve. It was crazy.
it does. It's not. It's honestly not that bad. But like the more you play around with it, and the more you get used to like hide volumes and stuff like that as well, it's yeah. It takes some doing. So the idea of learning a whole new thing was stressful, but I did play around with it a little bit, and it just felt overcomplicated in a way that Talespire doesn't.
Yeah, that tracks. It was, I mean, any sort of integration with D&D Beyond, always a nice thing. Very wonderful,
Yeah, for
very
sure.
easy, but I just felt like they were trying to do a lot of stuff that Talespire already had and has had for quite a while. So, I don't know. I don't know. It's gone now. Rest in peace. Poor team.
But it's still there. There's just like 3 people working on it, right? The actual
Yeah, I was
app
kind of
is
like
still
maintaining
there.
it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
bad.
Mm.
Bad business decisions. What a shock. We've got a little bit of time, so let's talk. Let's move on from Talespire and let's talk about your new podcast with Odin.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh man, I love talking. I love how many people are like bringing it up to me because relatively speaking it's not my most popular podcast ever, but that's great because it wasn't the point. For those who aren't aware, I am part of a podcast called Worlds Apart. It's at Worlds Apart TTRPG on all platforms, and you can find it on YouTube as a video format or every Spotify and Apple Music and all that. I think Pandora possibly, for anyone who still uses Pandora. And it's essentially a podcast where myself and my friend Odin sit down and we just world build completely off the dome, fully improvised. And we have done, I don't know, we're kind of tackling almost every aspect of the world, but just as we see fit. We started off by building a little community that was called, oh my God, we called it the, why am I forgetting the name? Sundial Mountains. And then we, built out from there, essentially just like the communities that were in it, the creatures that were in it, the different gods that had reign and domain over that area. And it's very loosey goosey. And eventually we'll be bringing on some guests as well. So other tabletop gaming content creators, some friends of ours, people who we definitely haven't paid to say nice things about us, who we will come on and have them world build something like, hey, do you want to make a god and drop it in our world? And stuff like that. And then eventually we'll run games in the system. So we'll do little one shots here and there where we actually implement all the creatures and big bads and NPCs that we've created. So it's
Very, very
quite
cool.
fun. Yeah, it's very legit. We have a whole editor and everything. We have our own like logo and art and whatnot, and it's been great. And the main point of it was Odin's idea, was just to world build with friends, and so it's never really been monetized to any
Mm.
massive degree. We don't have ads, we don't have merch or anything like that. It's quite literally just a little passion project for us two as friends. So it's been fun. It's been great.
As someone that does make money from like content creation and stuff, is it a nice change of pace to be back in that like pure freedom sort of level of content creation?
I think so. I think especially when it comes to podcasts, I've been on the side of it where, with the last podcast that I was a part of, the co-host of mine was very, and this is not to speak ill of him, but he was a lot more on the side of monetization
Mm.
and numbers and things like that, which is fine, but it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And I feel like with that pressure being gone, it's very easy for me to pop into Worlds Apart and be in, pajamas and drinking a beer while I'm, hosting a podcast, and being able to not put so much effort into promoting it and instead just kind of let it have its own legs. Which has been amazing because people are incredibly supportive of it on, the audience side.
Mm.
People will pop into my Discord and be like, hey, I really loved this thing you did on Worlds Apart. And I'm like, oh yeah, oh my gosh, how did you know about that? It's just like it just auto publishes and we call it good. Like I didn't promote it at all, but then people are like, yeah, I really loved this moment, and I get questions about it on interviews, and so it's a lot more satisfying to have content that speaks for itself and doesn't leverage our existing platforms.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, completely. Do you have any idea how many episodes it will end up being?
No idea. We kept it very open-ended. We haven't, as of the recording of this interview here, we've recorded 10 episodes, I want to say. And I don't think we've gotten into having guests yet, but we've just tipped over the edge of the part where it'd be easy to add guests in, where we're starting to work on pantheons. And so I'm going to world build a god for an episode. Odin's going to do a god for an episode. And then we'll bring in a friend and be like, hey, what do you want to create the god of? Might have some people like Gina on who will inevitably do something horrifically sad and like stuff like that. Friends who are going to do like little joke gods and things like that. So it's very much open ended. We haven't gotten to the point of introducing guests yet, which means we definitely haven't gotten to the point of doing one shots yet.
Yeah.
So I think it's got to be at least 50 episodes. Fingers crossed. I don't want to jinx it, but hopefully.
It's a couple of years with it being every other week, so that's still a lot.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's fun.
It's cool. It's because of the length of it as well. It's a great like second monitor chill out. Well, I say chill out like I'm not always working. I'm sure normal people can relax while watching it.
Right. Yeah. I do advertise it when I do talk about it as like very good, like background noise, or at the very least world building inspo, because I have a lot of people who come in and they're like, hey, this was a really good idea, it gave me inspo for this, and I'm like, great, write that down, use it in your world. You can even use what we built and just full on copy it and use it in your games. We don't care. So it's good inspo.
It is. I mean, the Sundial Mountains are formed from a god's handprint, basically, right?
Yeah.
Which is an incredibly cool concept. So
Right. I'm excited to do the rest of the gods too, because that was a primordial earth titan that did that. So it just like high-fived the ground and then created a bunch of mountains. So I kind of want to see how we'll translate that into the other elements. I'm stoked. There's some cool stuff coming.
It's exciting. Make sure that'll be in the description as well. My descriptions get longer and longer as more and more things need plugging. Is there anything else at all that you'd like to plug?
Ooh, there's a lot of conventions that I'm doing. I'm not entirely sure when this is coming out, but the next one that I think I'll be at that is relevant to the tabletop space is Gen Con, where I'll be doing 2 actual plays and 2 panels so far. I also tend to get asked to do things last minute when it comes to Gen Con, so I might do some other stuff and add it to the list. But there's that. I'm going to be at PAX Unplugged, PAX West, PAX Australia, so I'm going to Australia. I'm going to be doing a bunch of like, little one shots here and there, a couple of smaller games, and then the large campaign that I'm a part of because I try and not be part of more than one campaign at a time for the sake of my day job.
Yeah,
Is on Sundays live on Twitch over on Madaloon's channel, where she does Chains of Asmodeus, which is arguably one of my favorite characters that I've ever created. So it's a lot of fun to play her. That's every Sunday at 2:30 Pacific time, whatever that is in your time, and
10:30.
yeah, that's the big one right now.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you so much for coming on. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, this is great. I love Talespire so much. I'm glad I get to talk about it. I'm glad I get to info dump. But yeah, I should email them and see if they want to
We're
sponsor.
not
Because my God, I
sponsored.
would not yet. Yet.
That would be the dream. I would run actual plays in Talespire so happily. So happily.
Oh,
They did do it for a season of Dimension 20.
really?
Which one was it?
I wonder where they stopped.
The 7? Maybe? Yeah, maybe the 7. I did ask Brennan about it actually when I interviewed him beginning of last year, and he said that like it's great, but they just haven't had a chance because they're so busy all the time, which I
Yeah,
respect.
it's a lot of overhead time. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Anyway, yes, thank you very much for coming. Let's say goodbye. We'll wave at the thing. Bye.